Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we are undertaking a truly monumental journey. We're navigating worlds both known and secret, tracking Lyra Silvertongue and Malcolm Polstead as they race eastward.
Right into the heart of a conflict that really is set to determine the very nature of consciousness itself.
Exactly. And our sources for this are just exhaustive. They cover a breathtaking range of material. I mean, everything from covert spy operations and high alchemy to, well, the vast gold-obsessed kingdoms of the Gryphons.
And even the existential philosophy of imagination. It's a lot.
It is. It is a lot.
And this material confirms something we've talked about before, that quiet sort of ideological struggle we analyzed. It's violently erupted. This is no longer just a war against the Magisterium's doctrine.
No, it's much bigger now.
It's a physical and metaphysical campaign. You have technology and ancient magic being weaponized against, the essential bonds of community and reality itself. It's huge.
So our mission today is to distill the core movements of this saga. We need to look at Lyra's monumental sacrifice, Malcolm's recovery, which involves some really advanced, almost sci-fi cross-dimensional technology.
Yeah, on a resonating lodestone.
Right. And then there's the astonishing and, frankly, dangerous diplomacy within the Griffin Kingdom. We have to unpack the nature of the alkahest, this universal solvent.
And that all leads to the final catastrophic confrontation in the desert, where the door between worlds is, it's literally pulverized.
It's a huge arc.
It is. So let's begin where the plot lines diverge and really intensify, with Lyra's immediate aftermath of loss and her hard-won understanding of the City of the Moon.
Okay, so part one, Lyra, Malcolm, and the Eastern Momentum. Lyra arrives at these ruins, the City of the Moon, Madinat al-Qamar, and she is absolutely broken.
Just completely shattered, exhausted, alone. You can feel the sheer weight of her separation from Pan in the text. It's palpable.
Yet despite this state, she accesses a crucial piece of knowledge. It's about that mysterious red building in Karamakan.
And what she discovers, with some help from Nurhuda el-Wahhabi, is, on the surface, deceptively simple. But it's world-altering, isn't it?
It really is.
She confirms that the red building is simply an opening into another world. The specific doorway where the roses, those beautiful coveted roses, come from.
But the method of discovery here is what's so fascinating. It's not about brute strength or some special tool. It relies on training.
Exactly. Nurhuda directs her to use techniques she learned from the scholar Giorgio Brabant. And this is a really key moment for Lyra's development, I think.
Brabant's technique, the key to unlocking what they call the Secret Commonwealth, is so deeply counterintuitive, isn't it? It requires relaxing the mind completely.
Precisely. To truly perceive these hidden realities, these other layers of the world, she has to look at it sideways, out the corner of the eye.
It's not about focusing harder.
No, it's the opposite. It's about allowing her senses to merge with the city rather than trying to analyze the physical structures. It's such a subtle yet profound lesson.
That to see the truth of reality, you sometimes have to stop trying to force it into a linear, focused vision.
Right. It requires an act of conscious surrender to non-linear perception, which is, of course, the very thing the Magisterium would define as dangerous fantasy. It's heresy in its purest form.
And it is immediately after this breakthrough, this incredible moment of knowledge, that Lyra experiences an equally profound loss. She has to make a terrible sacrifice.
To free Nurhuda's demon, Jamal, who is trapped in a cave.
She has to use the one thing that still connects her to her past identity, her past power. The needle of the alethiometer.
And the sources spend a remarkable amount of time describing this instrument, don't they? It wasn't just a tool for her.
Not at all.
It's described as heavy, beautiful, her constant companion for 10 long years. But the specific part she used, the needle, was slender, silvery, and light as a hair.
That's such an interesting contrast. The heavy, grounded sort of absolute knowledge contained within the gold instrument
versus the almost invisible, precise instrument required for this one physical act of liberation. It's like the whole weight of truth is balanced on this one tiny, fragile point.
The moment itself is just a tragedy. The needle works. It successfully cuts open the cage, freeing Jamal. But the movement wakes the guard, a one-eyed man.
And Lyra acts instinctively. She thrusts the delicate needle into his arm to escape his grasp. It's pure survival instinct.
But the immediate catastrophic consequence is the loss of the whole thing, the entire instrument.
The man, now fully awake and enraged, just snatches the alethiometer, and this is where fate, or perhaps profound, cruel irony, steps in.
Right, before he can even escape or process his newfound treasure.
He's seized instantly by a massive bird-like lion, a griffin.
It's poetic justice, in a way, but just terrible luck for Lyra. The griffin wasn't concerned with the man's crime or the demon's freedom.
No, not at all. It was pursuing the gold, the sheer material value of the ancient instrument itself.
So Lyra's sacrifice, which was made to save a single demon, an act of pure compassion,
Inadvertently funds the very creatures whose entire mythology centers on hoarding gold. It just reinforces this idea that even acts of pure goodness can have these unforeseen, self-destructive consequences in this war. It's a vicious circle.
Absolutely. So now Lyra is completely without her tools.
No.
No pan, no compass.
Only her newly honed intuition, which fortunately is when a practical guide steps in. Ionides.
Ionides is a fascinating character. He's a dragoman, a former professor of mathematics, and a spy.
Operating under the very colorful persona of Queen Tatiana.
Which is just fantastic. And Lyra, who now has to rely purely on instinct, begins to trust him. He sets the direction for her Aleppo and provides that immediate tactical support she desperately needs.
While Lyra is making this incredibly costly sacrifice, Malcolm Polstead is experiencing his own dramatic rescue.
A completely different theater of this war, but just as intense.
Oh, absolutely. He's sprung from a grubby prison infirmary in Kusuklu by an agent named Timur Gazarian, acting on behalf of the very beleaguered Oakley Street network.
Malcolm, of course, is wounded. But critically, he's artificially separated from his demon, Asta. And in their world, that's just shocking. He needs an explanation for the authorities, and fast.
And he comes up with one with this characteristic blend of scholarship and quick thinking. It's really brilliant.
What does he call it?
He coins the phrase post-traumatic cytokinesis.
Self-splitting.
Exactly. He describes it as a temporary state caused by extreme trauma. And the brilliance here is twofold, really. First, it uses scientific jargon to just completely baffle the uninitiated authority, which lends credibility to the lie.
Of course.
And second, it philosophically grounds the separation in biological terms. It avoids all the theological implications of a soul breach, which would have gotten him executed on the spot. It perfectly reflects how Malcolm, the intellectual historian, uses the language of science to survive a political crisis.
That intellectual reflex is what keeps him alive, time and again.
Yeah.
And his rescue really highlights the true danger Oakley Street is facing. They're officially disrecognized.
Which means they are operating under the absolute highest level of secrecy. Christabel terms.
And the Christabel terms are not just some catchy name for being secretive, are they?
Not at all. They are the protocol enacted when the central leadership believes the entire network is completely compromised, potentially infiltrated by the Magisterium or even angelic agents.
So it means maximum compartmentalization, extreme caution, deep cover operations.
It confirms that the war has escalated to the point where even the shadows are unsafe. This is why Gazarian's operation has to be so precise, so quiet.
And despite this extreme danger, they managed to equip Malcolm with an incredible piece of counter-magisterial technology.
A resonating lodestone acquired by the alchemist Mr. Makepeace and delivered by Glenys Godwin.
This lodestone is such a fascinating intersection of science and, well, magic.
It supposedly allows for instantaneous communication via quantum entanglement across vast distances. But here's the key nugget, I think. The stone comes from another world. This suggests that the resistance isn't just adapting the technology of Lyra's world. They are actively importing or maybe reverse engineering advanced concepts from other realities to fight the Magisterium.
So, in a world that relies on ancient spiritual truths, like the alethiometer, the highest form of resistance technology is basically a pair of quantum-entangled rocks.
It just speaks to the sheer unpredictability of this conflict, doesn't it?
It really does. So once Malcolm has this communication link, what is his absolute central mission report? What's the priority?
He reports that the opening near Lop Nor and Karamacon is undeniably the source of the rose material. That's confirmed. But the ultimate priority, the piece of information Makepeace insisted upon, is the alkahest.
The alkahest.
Malcolm must find out everything he can about this substance. He knows it's an old alchemical term for a universal solvent, but the strategic importance of a universal solvent in a war over fundamental reality is clearly immense.
Oakley Street must suspect this substance is the key to, well, to both creation and destruction in the Rose World.
Exactly. It's the ultimate wild card.
With Lyra heading toward Aleppo with Ionides, and Malcolm heading that way after his escape, their paths inevitably cross.
And Malcolm finds Lyra, but their reunion in the garden of the Brazilian embassy is just heartbreakingly brief.
What strikes him first?
He's immediately struck by the physical toll the separation has taken on Lyra, her injury, her profound exhaustion, but mostly the unnatural absence of Pan.
Of course.
Malcolm, whose own demon Asta is forcibly separated, he understands the trauma on an intellectual level, but seeing Lyra, this girl of prophecy, without her soul-made visible companion, it just confirms the absolute severity of the crisis.
And that moment of connection, of shared trauma, is immediately shattered.
By the arrival of the Office of Right Duty, the Orgi soldiers, we learn they're identified by their distinctive uniform crest, a Roman lamp.
That symbol, the Roman lamp, is so important. It signifies the Magisterium's self-image, doesn't it?
Oh, completely. They are the carriers of light, the keepers of doctrine, guiding humanity out of the so-called darkness of curiosity. Their arrival is systematic, deliberate. They arrest Ionides immediately.
Suggesting he was a known target. Or that his Queen Tatiana persona was finally compromised.
Probably both. And just when they think they might escape the human threat, the mythic threat returns.
A griffin.
Exactly. Malcolm is seized by a griffin, just as the thief was, and flown away toward Mount Damavand. This seems random, but it ties directly back to Lyra's earlier encounter.
How so?
It connects perfectly. Pan had fled eastward, and the gryphons are still obsessed with the idea of gold. But in Malcolm's case, it's not the gold of an instrument.
No.
The gryphon believes Malcolm himself is gold of flesh.
Gold of flesh. What does that even mean?
It suggests some metaphysical quality in Malcolm. Perhaps it's tied to his density of dust or his inherent potential as an intellectual and philosophical warrior. Whatever it is, it registers to these ancient elemental creatures as literally valuable, like a living nugget of gold.
So the scholar is captured for being gold of flesh, Ionides is arrested, and Lyra escapes again. This time with Malcolm's demon, Asta.
It's a brilliant, immediate tactical maneuver. It's essential for survival.
Lyra and Asta agree to pretend Asta is Lyra's demon.
A visible demon is required for safety and social acceptance. A missing demon spells instant danger, suspicion. This requires an enormous level of coordination and trust between the girl and the demon.
Especially given Asta's fierce loyalty to Malcolm.
Absolutely. They agree to move further east toward Karmakan, where Asta confirms Pan was last headed. So now the two halves of our story are separated by the sky, but they are united by this singular mission to the Red Building.
Okay, let's go to part 2 then. The Griffin Kingdom and the Universal Solvent. We have to track Malcolm first, soaring through the sky to Mount Damavand, the capital of the Griffin Kingdom.
Ruled by Queen Sharnavaz.
What's the diplomatic reality Malcolm is facing here? I mean, he's basically a prisoner.
The reality is that humans are, well, they're negligible. The Griffins are an ancient, proud, and highly discriminating race. They consider humanity largely uninteresting.
Except for one thing.
Except for the one primary utility we provide, the mining of gold. This sets the stage for Malcolm's precarious survival. If he cannot prove he has a value beyond his physical gold-like essence, he will be destroyed. Melted down, perhaps.
And their territorial claims are just astronomical, both geographically and metaphysically.
Absolutely. Their outer kingdom spans the vastness of Asia, but their inner kingdom is everything else. The sun, the moon, the planets, the stars.
So they see themselves as cosmic rulers.
It reflects a philosophical hierarchy. The inner celestial and cosmic realm is greater and more important than the material earthly realm. It reinforces the idea that true power is held in the stars and the movement of dust, not just the ground beneath our feet.
And this already high-stakes diplomacy is complicated even further by the arrival of an unexpected alliance seeker.
Tilda Vasara. She is the daughter of Serafina Pekkala and Farder Coram, which is a fantastic link back to the original story.
Representing all the northern witches.
Yeah.
She's there seeking a military and diplomatic pact with the Griffins.
The witches know that this escalating conflict poses a threat to all creatures who respect the natural flow of dust, not just humans. Tilda's plea is urgent, and it centers on an ecological warning, a physical environmental crisis caused by the war.
The air itself is changing. The sources describe the atmosphere as tainted and stale. The winds are wilder. The sunsets are lurid with these abnormal colors. It sounds like a climate catastrophe.
It is exactly that, but it's linked directly to the Magisterium's weaponry. The change is specifically tied to sulfurous or fulminating activity at the level of the ground.
Explosion.
Explosions. And Malcolm, ever the scholar, immediately connects this to the Magisterium's high-impact experimentation with thermobaric explosives. They are literally poisoning the air.
And destabilizing the celestial-terrestrial balance that the Gryphons inhabit. The conflict is physically rupturing the fabric of their inner and outer kingdoms.
Which gives Malcolm an opening. To survive and gain influence, he has to pivot away from being just gold of flesh to being indispensable.
He claims the title of Artificer from the Realms of Gold. His immediate task, repairing the crushed alethiometer.
This is a remarkable demonstration of applied knowledge. Malcolm, the historian who generally works with records and archives, must become a master craftsman. He has to take Lyra's broken golden relic and turn it into a project.
The repair is his currency.
Exactly. It buys him time and the Queen's respect. It prevents him from being melted down.
And Malcolm's role as artificer quickly expands into that of a tactical strategist.
He's brought into the conflict against Soroush, a sorcerer who is entrenched high on the mountain. His power is fueled by earth fire.
Fire drawn directly from the mountain's core. It needs no physical fuel.
And Soroush is protected, not just by this raw power, but by illusion. His primary weapon is a mirror, which he uses to reflect his opponents, not as they truly are.
But as he wishes to see them. He exploits their inner doubts, their insecurities. He turns their own self-perception against them.
It's a completely psychological form of combat. So Malcolm has to team up with Gulia, a gryphon who is struggling to lift her incurable shame. They need to break the illusion before they can even hope to defeat the sorcerer.
And the tide is turned by a familiar face.
Lyra. Guided by Ionides' network, she has managed to track Malcolm's location, and she arrives with the very weapon Malcolm was tasked to find information on.
The Alcahest.
The Alcahest.
Mm.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Lyra, having lost her compass, her demon, her bearings, now she holds the universal solvent.
The sources describe it as the destroyer of bonds, a substance that destroys everything.
And the sequence of the defeat is just a masterpiece of integrated skills. Malcolm, the artificer, the scholar, first recognizes the illusion. He shatters the distorting mirror with a simple stone.
With the illusion broken, Lyra throws the Alcahest, which is in a flask, at the now invisible Soroush.
And the liquid, the destroyer of bonds, dissolves his protections and renders him vulnerable.
And Malcolm, using the practical skills he's acquired on the mountain, delivers the final, non-lethal blow.
He blinds Soroush temporarily with a blast of finely ground pumice powder, using a small pair of bellows he made. It's such a practical, almost humble solution.
And that tactical move allows Gulia to seize the sorcerer, completing her quest for redemption and lifting her shame.
It's the perfect synthesis, isn't it? The alchemist's universal solvent, the scholar's technical understanding of optics and abrasives, the girl's pure intuition, and the warrior's strength.
Following this monumental victory, Malcolm uses the recovered fragments, the crushed golden case of the alethiometer, and transforms them.
He melts it down. He forges a delicate circlet for Lyra, braided to look like hazel twigs. This is an intensely symbolic gesture.
He isn't replacing her instrument of objective truth.
No, he's recognizing her inherent value. He's acknowledging her as a princess, an equal whose wisdom now comes from courage and experience, not just a device. The alethiometer was a static guide. The circlet is a symbol of self-reliance and flexible living wisdom.
He took the very metal that embodied the obsession of the Gryphon's gold and the dogma of the Magisterium absolute truth and reshaped it into a natural personal form.
Symbolizing Lyra's ability to chart her own course now, without relying on that old physical artifact.
The victory over Soroush, however, it only serves as a practical demonstration of the Alcahest. Lyra and Malcolm immediately begin to grasp the frightening metaphorical power of this universal solvent.
Right. It doesn't just destroy atomic bonds, they realize it dissolves social structures.
And this is a critical pivot in understanding the ultimate conflict. They realize the Alcahest's power is mirrored in what's happening in the Rose world.
An external authority, driven by the very same forces that are seeking to destroy the opening, has imposed a new currency system, a system of tokens and credits.
And the consequence for the local community is devastating. This new abstract money has replaced the old, tangible, and simple system, like pennies used for bridge tolls, for instance.
The difference is enormous. The old system was localized, it was understandable, and it fostered communal interaction. You give a penny, you cross the bridge, you talk to the toll taker. It upheld the old ways and habits that brought people together.
The new system, these tokens and credits, is abstract. It's externally mandated, and is utterly incomprehensible to simple folk like Henry and Ethel.
It breaks the fundamental social contract. It alienates people from their own economy, from their own community.
So the economic change acts exactly like the alkahest. It dissolves the social bonds that held the community together. It makes life abstract, alienated, and impossible for the locals to comprehend or control.
The Magisterium fears curiosity. The corporate entities fear community and self-reliance. The alkahest, in both its physical solvent form and its social currency form, is the ultimate tool for both. It breaks down the physical reality of the door, and it breaks down the social reality of the rose world, paving the way for complete external exploitation by interests like Thuringia Potash.
Which brings us to part 3, the Great Campaign and the Rose Field. With the Griffin alliance secured and the nature of the alkahest now understood, Lyra and Malcolm turn their attention fully to the geopolitical storm that's brewing.
President Marcel Delamar's Holy Campaign, directed straight at the Red Building in Karamacon.
We have to understand that Delamar, the president of the Magisterial High Council, isn't just acting on institutional doctrine, is he? This is deeply personal for him.
Intensely personal. His shame over his sister, Marisa Lyra's mother, is the key. Marisa was seduced, she bore Lyra, and Delamar views this as creating a catastrophic breach in the perfect surface of the world.
So for him, destroying the Red Building isn't just theological warfare.
No, it's an attempt to erase the cosmic evidence of his sister's transgression. He wants to restore the doctrinal purity that Lyra's very existence threatens. It's a family drama playing out on a multiversal scale.
Which means his fear of curiosity is deeply entrenched. It's almost psychotic. He views the natural human impulse to question, to tear aside the veils of matter, as a vile and impertinent curiosity.
A curiosity fixed in the human soul since the fall in paradise. It's the ultimate statement of totalitarian dogma. Curiosity equals sin.
Therefore, the destruction of the opening, the annihilation of the source of the roses and the doorway to another world, it becomes an act of spiritual purification. It's necessary for the Magisterium to maintain control over the singular, prescribed truth.
The military logistics required for this purification are immense. Magisterium forces are moving eastward, and they're aiming to cross Lop Nor,
which is a notoriously shifting, dangerous region of marsh and desert, almost impossible to navigate.
And they are preparing for a brutal engagement. The sources confirm they're experimenting with the largest available weaponry, thermobaric explosives.
Specifically against the deadly, scavenging Ogub Gorgs, the carrion birds in the mountains.
But this testing isn't just about defense. It's about preparing a destructive force capable of annihilating not just biological life, but potentially the very fabric of the doorway itself.
And the treachery of Lop Nor brings back a familiar face, now operating in a highly compromised position.
Ionides. But under his true name, Professor Venakis.
He's playing a double game that really only a scholar spy could manage.
Knowing his intimate familiarity with the treacherous Lop Nor, he makes a deal with the Magisterium. He agrees to guide Delamar's army across it.
In exchange for temporary access to the Red Building, his motivation, unlike Delamar's, is purely academic. He wants discovery, not conquer.
It's an extraordinarily risky deal, but it is the only way he sees to get his team inside ahead of the final explosion.
So Lyra and Malcolm managed to find a different, functional opening after the initial one near the Gryphons was smashed, and they finally enter the Red Building. What they encounter inside immediately establishes the dichotomy of the Rose world.
The physical Red Building serves as a kind of anti-monument. Inside, they find a vast, overwhelming panoramic mural covering every single wall.
It's almost a perfect piece of propaganda, or maybe a memorial to a lost age. What does it depict?
It depicts the beautiful, harmonious life of the Rose world, a culture of profound craftsmanship, stability, prosperity. It shows happy, demon-accompanied people diligently and joyfully collecting rose oil.
This is the world that Mustafa Bey's agent described.
Exactly, emphasizing the subtle, unique color of the oil. A hue between red and yellow, never simply orange. The mural showcases a world where consciousness and community flourish through tangible, meaningful labor.
It sounds idyllic, but that vision is immediately contradicted by the reality outside the mural walls.
The reality is industrial horror. They see Thuringia Potash TP excavators and massive machines tearing up the exquisite rose gardens and orchards. This isn't small-scale mining.
No, This infrastructure is being built to create a communications hub. It's entirely driven by external capital and those imposed abstract tokens and credits we talked about.
This is the Magisterium and corporate capital, acting as the socio-economic alkahest. They are dissolving beauty for infrastructure.
And the impact on the natural order is the most chilling part of the sources. They witness demons being abused, ignored, and most horrifyingly found dead. Physically pressed, flat like paper.
That image, a demon, the visible soul, flattened like paper, is the ultimate condemnation of the invaders. It signifies the complete disregard for consciousness, for internal life.
It's just devastating.
The Magisterium and TP are fundamentally crushing the spirit and identity of the world they occupy. They're treating the soul as an irrelevant, two-dimensional nuisance in the pursuit of commerce and control. The Rose world isn't just suffering a physical sickness, its very soul is being structurally erased.
As they navigate this ravaged landscape, Can makes a shocking discovery that confirms the physical danger of this corruption.
He finds Bryn Mawr Strauss, a survivor of the original Red Building research team. He's dying of a mysterious plague, a racking cough that affects demons as well as humans.
Strauss's final warning that Lyra must never go there. It underscores the fact that this is a sickness of the soul which is now manifesting physically.
The invasion has not only devastated the Rose world, but it has infected those who sought to exploit or study it. The corruption spreads.
But this immense danger leads directly to the core philosophical breakthrough that Lyra and Pan have been working toward since their separation.
It clarifies the relationship between dust and consciousness.
How do they piece it together?
They synthesize the information. Ionides had established that the Rusakov field was associated with consciousness. Lyra and Pan, drawing on their combined experience across worlds, conclude that dust, the particle, and the Rusakov field, the force, are merely two aspects of the same thing.
They're the same conscious energy, just viewed from different scientific perspectives.
Exactly. And this realization is massive. It changes Lyra's entire understanding of her own mind. She concludes that imagination is not merely making things up,
which is the definition promoted by rigid dogma, and even some of the angels who believe in a fixed reality.
No, for Lyra, imagination is seeing things properly, real things, seeing them fully in all their contexts. It's the ability to grasp the complexity and the interrelatedness of reality.
Which leads to her final philosophical stand, that in stories, in play, in dreams, things can be both true and not true.
That concept, the acceptance of paradox, is fundamentally opposed by the Magisterium. They demand strict adherence to either truth or untruth, but never both. It's the ultimate intellectual freedom.
And Pan connects this directly to the cosmic engine.
He suggests that the entire rose field, the source of this profound beauty and prosperity, depends on dust. When humans engage their imagination, when they think, dream, and conceptualize, dust flows through it and fertilizes it like pollen, and it all comes to life.
So imagination is the engine.
And dust is the lifeblood that sustains multi-reality. The rose field is therefore a garden of conscious thought. It needs to be tended by imagination.
That moment of profound realization is immediately followed by the moment of ultimate destructive catastrophe.
The final act. It begins with the return of Olivier Bonneville, Delamere's cousin and secretary,
who manages to steal the alethiometer again. It's a desperate move to save his own skin, to flee into the Red Building, to escape Delamere's rage and instability.
Bonneville is a pathetic, dangerous figure, driven by pure self-preservation. But his final, reckless theft provides Delamere with the justification he needs.
Delamere, consumed by his personal theological vendetta, is beyond rational thought at this point.
Completely. He orders Colonel Schreiber to detonate the massive thermobaric explosive directly at the opening.
He doesn't care who is inside. Bonneville, Lyra, Malcolm, the researchers, none of it matters. Only that the breach is sealed. The result is the complete annihilation of the doorway.
And the sources are very specific about the nature of this destruction. The opening into Lyra's world is not cleanly sealed or closed. It is shattered, pulverized into swirling particles called coruscati.
Coruscati. We need to understand what this means, because this is the final, terrifying image of this deep dive. They're described as tiny fragments of Lyra's own world, scattered into the air of the Rose world.
If the doorway was the physical bridge between worlds, the coruscati are the pulverized rubble of that bridge. They're infinitesimal, unstable fragments of the matter that formed the boundary between realities.
So direct transit, just walking from one world to the next, is now impossible.
Impossible. The Magisterium sought to create permanence through violence, but all they achieved was chaos. They didn't fix the surface, they shredded it.
Okay, let's unpack this monumental conclusion. Outro. So, what does this all mean? We have tracked Lyra and Malcolm across continents through aerial kingdoms and into the philosophical heart of reality itself.
And the knowledge they gained came at an almost unimaginable cost.
The key insights are fully converged now, aren't they? The Alcahest proved its power as the destroyer of bonds, both atomic, dissolving the sorcerer Sorush, and social.
Right, obliterating the essential human connections in the rose world via abstract currency. The rose field is confirmed as a physical manifestation of conscious imagination, fertilized and sustained by the flow of dust.
And Delamere's holy campaign, which was rooted in his fear of vile curiosity and his own family shame, was essentially a violent attempt to destroy the creative, conscious engine of reality.
He sought singularity and fixed dogma. He wanted one truth, one world, one reality under his control.
But the knowledge gained came at such a steep price. The physical connection, the opening, is annihilated. The rose world is left plagued, its soul literally flattened by external forces.
Malcolm and Lyra now possess the deepest wisdom regarding creation, but they are trapped in a corrupted world without a clean path home.
And this leads us directly to the final provocative thought we want to leave you with as you process the staggering cost of this campaign.
The opening is not sealed. It is pulverized into countless floating fragments, these coruscati, that are now scattered across the rose world.
So if these fragments are the pulverized matter of the boundary itself, what does this constant, microscopic, scattered presence mean for the future?
The Magisterium tried to shut the door forever, but in their desperation, they've ensured that the boundary itself is no longer a fixed point. It's everywhere and nowhere.
If those fragments are tiny, unstable, floating doorways to Lyra's world, then the barrier between universes hasn't been reinforced at all. It's been fundamentally compromised.
Is the blending of worlds now inevitable? Has the Magisterium's final violent act inadvertently guaranteed that Lyra's world and the Rose world will begin to bleed into one another through a million microscopic wounds?
What happens when your reality is suddenly composed of the swirling, scattered memories of another?
That is the ultimate consequence of shattering the doorway.
A question that will undoubtedly drive our next deep dive. Thank you for joining us.